Hey everyone, been a while, but it's me with a review for Dreadhunter, a fast-paced twin-stick shooter with mechs, aliens and a whole lot of monsters to kill. Let's dive in. Starting with a bit of history and context. Dreadhunter is made by Trickster Arts, a small indie dev studio from Prague consisting of only 2 developers at the moment. In 2012, the studio was founded by former 2K Czech employees. Their first game was a mobile dating game called Date Me If You Can. This was way before online dating became massive, which is interesting. Project 2 was Hero of Mine, a mobile game which was ported to PC later, which was akin to Limbo. It released in 2014. Visual storytelling, amazing music and apparently not so amazing combat. It was a success, critics loved it and the studio was off to a good start. Their third mobile game was called Hackers from 2016, where players take on the role of a hacker during a fictional First World cyber war. Players can develop and secure their own virtual 3D network and hack various targets around the world. Again, a very contemporary theme. Their fourth game is Monolith, another mobile game. This time it is an ARPG, where players can create their own dungeons and publish them online for other players as well. This game launched in 2019 in Android and iOS, and all of these games have been doing so well that now the time has come to leave the mobile gaming market and focus on the PC market instead with Dreadhunter. Dreadhunter is set far into the future, given the tech and multiple planets on display. And hopefully, unlike some of their other titles, this game isn't as foreshadowing, because then humanity is about to be invaded and experimented on by a bunch of bloodthirsty, galaxy-conquering aliens. In any case, Dreadhunter is about you. You are a Dreadhunter called Dre, and you are the result of, I suppose, genetic experiments or alien invasion tech, I'm not even sure. Either way, you have superhuman powers, you are a mech with some human left in all of that steel and carbon, your only driver is to kill the aliens, and that is really all there is to it. You receive your orders from either Kara, who used to be a pilot under some bad guy, but now she is the good girl, at least up until Act 2, or from an NPC that you rescue in Act 1 that knows much more about all the experiments that the aliens are conducting. He is a scientist, after all. The story and writing are terrible, honestly. It's one cringy one-liner after another, there's hardly any humor to be found, and whether it is the writing itself or the translation, I'm not really sure, but it is quite poorly done. It matters not though, because this game is not about the story or writing, so then why did you just spend an entire section talking about it? I don't know guys, I'm simply trying to structure this video a bit, that's all. So what is Dreadhunter about then? Or what type of game are we dealing with? Well, it's a twin-stick shooter, so that means WASD movement or using a controller. It also means the game is suitable and verified for the Steam Deck. I played it on there, I have a Steam Deck, and while performance isn't always great, it definitely is playable over there. I would still recommend playing this on PC though, because it gets quite chaotic and that just works better on a PC. Dreadhunter is an ARPG with somewhat of a loot grind attached to it. Monsters drop loot, you can mod gear, sell and buy stuff, etc. It is also an ARPG in terms of the passive trees and ability trees which you can invest points in, although half of those trees are empty currently as the game is still in early access. And it is also an ARPG in the sense that you can create builds by equipping various pieces of guns and gear. The game is structured into acts. Currently the game offers 2 acts and each act contains several missions, maybe 10 or so. Each mission you're being briefed and debriefed, which is just a formality, and then you jump back into a new procedurally generated biome to basically kill all the monsters and loot all the chests. Let's first talk about the pros. Dreadhunter excels in a few areas. First, there's the combat, which is by far the biggest part of the game. It is very solid, incredibly chaotic, fast-paced, and it has a good feel to it. The guns are powerful, the melee attacks connect nicely with the enemies, and you're supposed to use a combination of guns to blast your foes, 2 out of 3 selectable abilities, which are either a grenade, a turret or a missile strike, and then use melee to stack up on health and ammo, a bit like you do in the recent Doom games. You can stagger enemies until they're stunned and red, and then finish them off with a melee killing blow to receive extra loot. Second, the sound effects and music. often underrated but praised in their previous games, and this game is no exception. Guns sound simply amazing, the slicing of your melee weapons is sharp and deep at the same time, and the game is filled with this retro wave score which always works with top-down sci-fi shooters, almost like it's made for the genre. Audio cues also play a role in the combat, which is so chaotic that audio cues indicating when your abilities are off cooldown are a great addition to the game. Third, more on a personal note, but the art style works well, I feel. It's quite distinct, not as gloom and doom as some other titles, but packing more of a neon vibe. Each biome looks different, and making your way through the levels using a very handy and clear overlay map works like a charm. Fourth, the boss fights. Each area culminates in a boss fight, and each act also has a big boss battle that you look forward to. The bosses are well designed, nicely balanced, and overall a lot of fun to do. I'm somewhat neutral on the following. First, monster variety. This game is short, so you don't notice it too much, but there aren't a whole lot of monsters. It didn't bother me, but you start recognizing this, and as you are supposed by the developer's account to play multiple runs, I think more monster variety is necessary in the future. Second, the passive trees and ability trees were not very exciting. You get either an extra missile or just passive stats like 5% crit chance. I think it is rather boring, honestly, and it does not provide any noticeable increases in power, which I feel is a missed opportunity, and half of those trees are empty in the current version of the game, like I mentioned. That doesn't help either, of course. Third, a bit of a similar point, but then on the builds that you can make. In theory, you have plenty of options, but the gear have very specific affixes tailored to a specific gun and playstyle. You wouldn't really mix several styles, that does not make too much sense. Rather, you focus on one playstyle, in my case plasma guns, and equip only pieces that boost the damage and the number of projectiles on plasma guns, make the bullets bounce around, increase projectile speed, that sort of thing. You may get the impression there are many builds, but I think realistically you can speak of three main builds, namely a build using kinetic weapons, a build using explosive guns, or a build using plasma guns. Fourth, it's an early access game. I personally don't mind that, I buy plenty of those, but that may not be the case for you. I'm putting it up as neutral. So far, it launched in early access at the end of last year, and by now they just did a massive update, basically doubling the content in half a year. The game will have, I think, 4 acts, so twice the content it has now, but I can't verify this anywhere, I did not go to their Discord. Then, a few cons from my end as well. First, visual clarity is, well, not there. You can't see shit. Yeah, it is quite nice that by adding gear pieces I can create a build using plasma guns which shoot 5 bouncing projectiles that also have lightning blasts between them, but when the enemies use the exact same bullets plus 5 other things that I'm supposed to dodge based on what I'm seeing, it gets completely out of hand. This diminishes how tactically you can play this game quite a bit, in my opinion, and I'm not sure how and if it can be fixed. Second, after you complete the game on normal difficulty, the game wants you to restart again on hard, and that is then also unlocked. The thing is, after a restart, the monsters are level 5 again, and you are likely level 15, as you should consider this a new game plus run. It's far from ideal because, yeah, the monsters have increased stats, but most of that is negated by their low levels. Also, the gear that drops is again level 5, and you know, you're 15, so that doesn't really work. The replay value is heavily diminished because of this, and to me this is just a design mistake that shouldn't be too hard to fix. Third, the price tag of this game. It's an early access game which took me 4 hours to complete in normal difficulty. You cannot start on hard, by the way, you need to unlock it, but I already told you the issues with that. 4 hours is not a whole lot, and sure, those are 4 fun hours with some quality elements to it, but also with a few flaws. My main issue is they're charging 35 euros for this at the moment. That is a lot of money for what you're getting. If this game has double the content, I would still think it's quite a bit of money for an indie game, but it would be sort of defensible, maybe. But in the current state, there is no way you're getting your money's worth with this one. So that is quite a big issue, I feel. All in all, it's an interesting game, but too expensive for my taste for what it is currently offering. The good news here is that the devs have delivered a product that in its core is very decent, very playable and mostly good. The future does look bright for this game, I would say, also given the track record of the studio and what the devs have delivered so far. If this game would be 10 to 15 euros cheaper, I would recommend playing it for sure. But right now, I don't think I can. Ultimately, it's up to you, of course, because supporting indie devs in creating games like this is the future of gaming, let's face it. I would wait for the full version and then perhaps even a sale to get a bit of a better deal, however. Keep it on the wishlist though, if you like what you see. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe and like for more indie game content. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.